Good morning, everybody. Today, we're gonna move some pigs. This is the biggest struggle right here when you only need 3 pigs.
It's all or nothing.
All or nothing. We got 2. We got 1 more to go. There you go. How many are we putting in the pen, Dad?
120. 60 to a feeder, 120 to a pen.
Is this your favorite job of pig farming?
I do like it. I like when you open up the pens because they love it. They all go crazy because when you start out, they got all kinds of room, and then they grow, and then they get tight, and then you take overstocks out, and then when you open these up, they think that the world's their oyster, which is good because happy pigs makes me happy. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Come on. 9, 40, 41, 42, 43, 45, 46, 48, 113. So we just need 7 to finish. A lot of people that, for whatever reason, don't like hog buildings, they claim that pigs should be outside. They should be able to root in the dirt because that's where you picture a pig to be. And there's a lot of misconceptions with that. So I grew up at the very end of raising pigs outside. My dad raised pigs outside. We farrowed them in what we call 10-pen farrowing buildings, and then we turned them out in dirt lots that had an electric fence around it, and they rooted, and you fed them in big round feeders, and you fought the rain, and you fought the cold, and all that. So if you put a pig outside, pigs like a temperature very similar to people, and pig skin is pretty close to human skin. That's why they use a lot of pig skin with burn victims, because it's very similar. So when you put a pig outside, the first thing is they're going to get sunburn because their skin is sensitive to that. So what they'll do is they'll roll in the mud. They'll find some place to roll in the mud. They'll root because they naturally will root, but they'll get a hole and they'll wallow in that hole because they would prefer to be covered with mud or whatever so they don't get sunburned. And then the other reason is, as soon as it gets hot, they will root and they will get down in the soil. They'll find a hole, they'll find some place to get into because it's cool, and they get hot just like we get hot. The problem with all that is one, if you want to destroy a piece of ground, turn a herd of hogs out there because they'll turn it over like a power shovel. A pig is a power shovel on 4 legs, and they will naturally just root that ground and root that ground, and you want to see erosion and the soil wash away, put a bunch of pigs outside. It's not a very environmentally friendly way to take care of your land. The other thing is, when they do that, they root in the soil, they get all kinds of parasites, worms. You would have to constantly put those pigs on wormer because they would be getting parasites and everything else pretty constant. And in the Midwest, we've only got weather that's really decent to put a pig outside half the year at best. Pigs naturally are a clean animal. If you look at these pigs, they're pretty clean, and they don't want to lay in manure, and they don't want to roll around in manure. A lot of times they do that when they're hot because they're trying to stay cool. They prefer to stay clean, and if you look at these pens, now we just thinned these out, so the pens are probably a little dirtier than normal, but you'll find they'll have an area where they all want to lay, and they'll have an area that they want to eat and get a drink, and they'll have an area where they all want to crap. And they aren't going to lay where they crap. That whole idea that a pig likes to roll in the mud and that a pig is dirty, and that's why people say that someplace looks like a pigsty. Well, if you're raising pigs outside, it would look like that, but it's their reaction to their environment. It's not because they prefer to be dirty, it's because they're trying to protect their skin and stay cool. The whole reason that we built these buildings was for the betterment of the pig, because we couldn't raise pigs in the winter. Your death loss was high, they were sick all the time, they had worms, they didn't grow very well, it was hard to feed them. It's not a sustainable way to do it. A lot of people like to say that that's sustainable farming. That's not sustainable. On a small scale, it's sustainable, but if you're gonna feed the world, you're not gonna do it with pigs in a pasture. So when I think about pigs in this environment versus outside, the way I feel about it is this, that a pig is like any other animal in that it runs on instinct. And its instinct is, do I have food? Do I have to worry about predators? Am I too hot or am I too cold to survive? And what we've done by building these hog buildings is we've eliminated predators. These pigs don't have to worry about predators, and they don't have to worry about being too hot or too cold. They only worry about, do I have enough to eat? And they have plenty to eat, and they have plenty of time to socialize, because a pig is very social. When we thin them out like this, when you come back, you'll see even though they got all kinds of space, they will lay together because they're social, and they're always interacting with each other. So if we took them outside and we had a perfect environment, I don't think that they would act any differently out there than they do here. The difference would be, it's not always perfect outside, and then they're going to have to worry about, are they too hot, are they too cold, am I getting sunburnt? And then you have the problems of the environment as far as what they do to the soil. Are they getting parasites? Are they getting worms? What do you do when it rains for 5 days? Pneumonia. So to me, we're doing everything we can to give them the optimal environment that not only are we producing food, but we're giving them a great life while they're here. So that's my feelings on hog buildings versus outside. Hey, good morning. So we got some rock coming in today. I came up here late last night and just put a little bit of rock in front of the pad. I'm gonna get the forks on and get some of this stuff out of the way so that I can put some more rock in here, get this ready for them to bring bins. I'm also going to bring up some tile, and we're gonna put tile around this retaining wall, and then we'll backfill all this. You want to try to get the water away from a concrete wall like that. Even though it's pinned, if that soil holds that water, it's a lot of weight, and eventually it'll start cracking that wall. So we'll put a tile in there, keep the water out of it, probably backfill part of it with gravel, and we'll do the same thing on the other side when we get that stuff out of there. Electrician's supposed to be here today and get power run over from the generator. Alliant Energy, I don't know what their schedule is. Nobody ever knows what the power company schedule is. They run on their own schedule, but they're supposed to be getting power back here to the barn. If we have to, we get down to the nitty-gritty, we may have to run on generator power till they get their stuff done, but I'm hopeful that they're gonna get it in here and everything's gonna be ready. So that's kind of the plan for today. Oh yeah, the feeders are coming today. I don't know what time. They've been talking to Sawyer, so we'll have to unload them at some point.
Good morning, everybody. Not much has changed since the last time we were up here giving you guys an update on how the building's coming along, but today we're getting the feeders for this building. There's a total of 40 feeders, and these things are wet dry feeders, so they're pretty heavy. They're heavier than just regular dry feeders. It might take us a little bit. We're gonna see if we can get another guy to come help us. Are you excited to unload some heavy feeders?
I'm not very excited. I'm excited to brag on you though. I know you can do it. I'm supervisor.
Just got up here at the nick of time. Look who showed up. There they are, the beautiful Bremer feeders. Okay, so just like that, we got the feeders unloaded. We got 40 feeders total. We're gonna be putting these in there in a couple weeks. I'm not sure, maybe in a couple days. We'll see. We still got to do a few things on the outside. The workroom hasn't even got tin on it yet. We have to insulate the attic. We have to run gas lines up into the attic. Alliant Energy needs to get out here so we can get some power to this thing. Bins still need to come here, and then I think it'll be time for them to start assembling everything in the barn. The feed line, put the gates up, put these feeders in. These feeders are a lot different compared to the feeders that are in our other 3 barns, because these are wet dries, and in our other barns, all the feeders in there are just dry standard feeders. And we went with these because one of our dry feeders at our Site 1 barn broke, so we wanted to test out a wet dry just to see the difference, and we saw a huge difference. We liked this feeder better than the ones we got. So we'll get into more details as to why we made that decision and show you guys the features of this feeder when we put them in, but for right now, I'll just leave it at that.